Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. Well, my previous video I did the 5 favorite hard Nintendo games that I like to play. So I thought, why not do the easy ones? Well, maybe easy or relaxing might be a better word, I don't know. Games that aren't overly complex or hard to get handled to or you know, all that kind of stuff. But these are also, I mean, some of my choices here, this took me a minute because I don't have a ton of Nintendo NES games. I only bought the ones that I really enjoyed playing. I wasn't just scooping up every single NES game that I could find. But these are the 5 that I narrowed it down to based off of not just ease of anybody can play it type of ease, but ease of once you figure it out, after that, it's fairly easy to play the game. There's not a lot of complexity. There's not a lot of dexterity and all that kind of funny jazz stuff that you do in some of the other games that I talked about, like Kid Icarus. Anyways, let's get to the first choice. I'm not sure if this is going to be a surprising one for some, but I picked Super Mario Bros. 2, also known as Doki Doki Panic, reskinned as a Mario Brothers game. But even from the beginning, like, I always found the first Super Mario Brothers game, you know, this one, to be a little bit tough. I mean, even when you've played it a lot of times, there's just certain times where you just keep falling into that hole. You keep dying because of time. You keep dying because of, you know, you can't get past that one hammer-throwing brother. You know, that type of stuff. Like, there is a lot of elements of that game that make it hard. And if you play the original Super Mario Brothers 2 game that came out in Japan, I guess they call it the Lost Levels or whatever, I find that one to be even harder, extremely harder. But this one is a very light play. It's easy to, especially depending on the characters you pick. I mean, the princess character, you just float everywhere. You never fall down pits half the time. There's not a lot of complex enemies. There's no timer. You know, the game is not endless as far as continues is concerned. You do run out of continues. But you don't even need them. I mean, once you get the flow of the game, I find the game to be quite relaxing and fun. It's very different from the first Super Mario Brothers game, and I just like to play it because it's not hard. It's once I get into the rhythm, I know what I'm doing, and I almost always complete it. I mean, sometimes I get bored of playing it, I turn it off. The second one might be a little bit weird for an easy game that. You know, much like Super Mario Bros. 2, and I had the first one in my list of the hard games, and that's Castlevania 2. And I know you're going to say, no, that game is hard. No, okay, it's hard, it's cryptic hard. So, in other words, if you don't know where stuff is, or some of the cryptic stuff that this game has, you could be playing this for hours and get nowhere. Obviously, things like Nintendo Power came along and started helping people to figure out, you know, where you're supposed to kneel with what crystal, you know, that type of stuff. But other than that, once you know that stuff, the game is fun. It's easy. It's not as hard, it's not as frustrating as the first Castlevania. You do not get thrown, like, tossed off of the you know, the edge into the water as frequently or die as frequently. You know, with a little bit of patience, you just build up, you just keep going back to the same enemies, building up the money, getting the stronger whips. The enemies at the end, most of the, what do they call them? Lost the name of it. The buildings, they have, the mansions, that's it. Most of the mansions don't even have enemies. And when they do, you just whip them a few times and they die. Compare that to the first one. Like, I could hardly ever get past the Grim Reaper. That thing just, it's annoying. In the second one, in this one, the Grim Reaper is dead easy. You just whip him a few times and he's gone. Dracula himself at the end, he just appears, you just throw stuff at him and he dies. Like, it's not a hard game. Some might disagree, but in my opinion, I think it's probably the easiest of the franchise. This one, similar, Dragon Warrior. It's a game I like to play this one. I've completed it several times. It's, okay, the first time you play it, you might not know where certain stuff is. It might take you a little bit of time, but it's not a hard game. It's a game of grind. You have to kill a million slimes to get up to a certain level. You just got to explore. You walk around. You talk to people. It's not like there's no dexterity to this. It's all words. So you're not really, if you can't use the controller properly, you ain't gonna be able to play this game. And it's not that big of a world. Like yes, there's the sequels. I've never completed the second one. I've gotten very far, but I've never completed it. And the third one, I barely even scratched that one. But this one, it's doable, and it's a fun game. And even though I've completed it, I know how it ends. I still like to play it every once in a while. Sometimes I even forget certain stuff, and I have to explore again, which is fun. To not just know where everything is and where to go and what to do. So this is more of a sports title. Sports titles are what they are. I mean, you're generally playing against either the computer or your opponent, your friend or whatever. But this one is one that I played a lot of, and it's not a hard game. That's NES Open, which is golf. I like playing golf on the Game Boy. There's also NES Golf or whatever, just golf, which is similar to this one. But this one's a lot more fun. It's got more going on. You play as Mario. You got like a hard course. You got an easy course. And once you learn the swing, the game is just easy and relaxing. I would play this game for hours when I was a teenager. Just building up you continuously play as you build up more money and more money. You could get to the point where you could become like the champion and all that stuff. It's not a hard game by any means. The Nintendo 64 one though, Mario Golf, I believe it's called, or Golf 64. I am totally lost in that one. It's got the 3-dimension. I'm terrible at those types of games. I could never get the swing properly. I would just get more frustrated. This one is more classic video game golf, where you got your figure just standing in one spot. You got the gauge of when you swing. You get to pick your clubs, and that's it. I mean, there's not a lot of other gameplay going on. So I find it to be a fun, simple, easy, relaxing game to play, and it's one that I pick up and get into it every once in a while. The last one was a hard choice. Like I said, I don't have a ton of Nintendo games, that I own. A lot of them I end up playing on emulators. But this is another one that I kind of grabbed a while back. I remember buying it from, I think, Toys R Us. And that's Rad Racer 2. I never had Rad Racer, the first one. I've played it on emulation. It's a very similar game. I like this one, though. I think it's got the nice graphics. It's got the interesting soundtrack choices. You get to pick which songs you want to listen to while you're playing. It's got multiple courses. It's got all these, and it's not hard. It's not like a hard game to play. You're literally going, it's like Pole Position or any of the other Outrun or a lot of the other car racing games. But I find that the skill it takes to play this, it's not really like, the cars are not really difficult to get around. There's nothing going to blow you up off the road easily. Stuff like that. It's not a frustrating racing game. It's an easygoing kind of game. And like I said, I could always say easy, but I would say more on the relaxation side of it. That you just play it, and it's not like I got to pass this level and I can't get by it. Games like, I believe the reason why I wanted this game was because I really enjoyed the game Chase HQ, which was in the arcade, which is a different kind of racing game, because you're actually trying to catch criminals, and you have to catch up to them, you have to knock them off the road. I would often spend a ton of quarters trying to get to the next level, to get to the next car that you'd have to chase, the next criminal, and I could never get... I'd probably get about the third, fourth, maybe, and I'd be done. I couldn't go any further. It just got harder and harder. Too many obstacles, too much crap coming at you. The criminals were going so fast, you barely would have time to catch them, let alone knock them off the road. And so buying a game like this, it was a lot more relaxing for sure. It didn't feel like I could not get to the next stage. I could always beat the stages. And it's more of like, let's see how, what time I can get type of game. And there's a lot of those type of games, especially on like Atari and stuff. Obviously I could have picked the much easier games like Donkey Kong Classics or something like that. That's just more fun and relaxing. But I wanted to go with something that was more Nintendo centric than just picking the classics like Donkey Kong and Qbert. Now it'd be interesting to try and do this with Atari. I mean, easy and hard games. Maybe I can. I can look at what I got and see if I can pull a list together for those. But anyways, yeah, those are my 5 easy/easygoing Nintendo games that I like to play. I'd like to hear what your list is. Put it down below. And if you disagree with some of my choices, I want to hear why. If you think Simon's Quest shouldn't be there, or Super Mario 2 is not an easy game, I'd like to hear why, what the explanation is. Anyways, hope you liked the video, hope you subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.